I listen now to the sounds of your hearts breaking in silence. I see women who have walked through fire, divorce, betrayal, the slow death of desire. And I know what you fear most at this moment. You fear that when you reach 80 years old, you will look back at your life and realize you spent decades waiting for permission to be seen, to be loved, to be chosen again. And the permission never came. Let me speak plainly, without the ornaments of comfort that others wrap around hard truths. I am Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and for 2,000 years my teachings have revealed what hides beneath the surface of existence. The Kabbalah does not traffic in pleasant lies. It exposes the architecture of reality itself. And today, I must expose to you 8 inevitable transformations that occur when a woman reaches her 80th year. Transformations that begin now, in this very moment, whether you acknowledge them or not. The first inevitability begins not at 80, but today. Right now, as you listen to my voice, your body is making decisions about who you will become. Every cell remembers every slight, every moment you dimmed your light because someone told you that you were too much, too loud, too opinionated, too alive. Your body keeps a ledger more accurate than any accountant, and by the time you reach 80, this ledger becomes your face, your posture, your energy. Women who spent their lives apologizing for existing arrive at 80 looking apologetic. Women who decided at 45 or 50 or 55 to reclaim their divine spark arrive at 80 looking like they know secrets that make angels weep with envy. I have watched this pattern for lifetimes. The way a woman carries herself at 48 determines the quality of love she will experience at 75. This is not mysticism. This is physics. Energy attracts its equivalent. When you walk through the world broadcasting shame, lack, unworthiness, the universe responds with mathematical precision. It sends you experiences that confirm your deepest beliefs about yourself. Consider this moment in your life right now. Perhaps you divorced a man who chose someone younger, someone who laughed more easily, someone who had not yet learned to anticipate disappointment. Perhaps you are still married but feel like a ghost in your own home, watching your husband scroll through his phone while you wonder when you became invisible. These are not random circumstances. These are the physical manifestations of spiritual frequencies you have been transmitting, often without knowing. The Zohar teaches that every human being contains within them the entire blueprint of creation. You are not a fraction of something whole. You are the whole itself, compressed into flesh and time. But most people live their entire lives never activating this truth. They die at 80 having used perhaps 3% of their spiritual capacity, like someone who inherits a palace but lives only in the servants' quarters because no one told them the rest belonged to them too. Your ex-husband, if you have one, is making a decision right now about his future. Not consciously, perhaps, but his soul is choosing. Men at this age often make one of 2 choices. They either descend into a kind of desperate grasping at youth, chasing women who remind them of their 20s, or they evolve into something deeper, hungering for a woman who has walked through fire and emerged with wisdom that makes her skin luminous with earned authority. If you do not transform yourself now, he will make his choice without you. He will find a woman who has done this work, and you will watch from a distance as he experiences depths of intimacy he never reached with you. Not because you weren't capable, but because you never claimed what was yours. This is not cruelty. This is the mercy of truth. I could tell you comforting lies, but comfort is the enemy of transformation. The universe does not reward comfort. It rewards those who are willing to see clearly, even when clarity burns. Let me tell you what I have observed across centuries of souls. When a woman reaches 80 without having done this inner work, she arrives at a destination that feels like abandonment. Her children visit out of obligation. Her friends have mostly died or moved into their own isolated worlds. She watches romantic movies and feels a grief so vast it has no bottom. Because she realizes she spent her entire life waiting for someone else to give her permission to be magnificent. And that permission never arrived. She dies having never shown the world her true face. But here is what breaks my heart more than anything. It did not have to be this way. The transformation was always available. Every single moment offered the opportunity to choose differently. But she was afraid. Afraid of being too much. Afraid of abandonment. Afraid of standing in her full power because powerful women throughout history have been punished. And somewhere in her cellular memory, she remembers the burnings, the stonings, the systematic erasure of women who dared to claim their divinity. This fear is not irrational. It is ancient, but it is also expired. The world you live in now is not the world of your grandmother. You have freedoms that women clawed and died to create for you. And you dishonor their sacrifice every day you play small. Now I feel your resistance rising. You are thinking, but Rabbi, I am too old to start over. The time for reinvention was in my 20s or 30s. Now I must accept what is. This thought is the single greatest poison in your system right now. More toxic than any food you consume, more deadly than any illness. This thought will kill you decades before your body stops breathing. You will become a living ghost, moving through routines without presence, watching life happen to other people, while you wait for death to formalize what already occurred. I am going to tell you something that may seem impossible from where you stand. The most powerful years of your life are ahead of you if you choose to claim them. Not behind you, ahead. But you must understand that this power requires something most people are unwilling to give. It requires that you stop performing femininity as you were taught and start embodying the fierce, wild, untamed feminine force that religions have spent millennia trying to suppress because it is so powerful it threatens the structures men built to feel safe. The Kabbalah speaks of the Shekinah, the feminine aspect of the divine that was exiled when humanity fell from grace. Every woman carries within her the potential to reintegrate this exiled presence, to become a living vessel of sacred feminine power. But most women never do this work because it requires descending into the underworld of their own shadow, facing every wound, every betrayal, every moment they betrayed themselves, and alchemizing it all into fuel. Your ex-husband, or your current husband who treats you like furniture, is not the problem. He is a mirror. He reflects back to you exactly what you believe you deserve. If you want different treatment, you must change what you are broadcasting. This is not victim blaming. This is liberation. Because it means you hold the power to change everything, starting now. Let me describe what happens when a woman begins this work in earnest. First, everything gets worse before it gets better. The people in her life who benefited from her smallness will resist her expansion. They will call her selfish, difficult, unrecognizable. They will try to shame her back into the box where she was safe and manageable. Some relationships will end. This is inevitable and necessary. You cannot take your entire past into your future. Some people are meant only for certain chapters. But then something miraculous begins to occur. She starts to notice that different people are drawn to her. Men who previously would have intimidated her suddenly seem to recognize something in her that compels their respect. Not all men. The ones who need women to be small, will flee. But the ones who have been hungering for a woman of substance, depth, earned wisdom, those men will begin to appear as if summoned. This is not metaphor. This is how energy works. You think you are separate from the world, that your internal state has no effect on external circumstances. But the Kabbalah teaches that consciousness creates reality, not influences reality, creates it. You are not a passive recipient of life happening to you. You are an active creator, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not. Are you beginning to understand the stakes? Every day you delay this transformation is a day you strengthen the trajectory that leads to 80 years old and alone, forgotten, filled with regret, so heavy it crushes your chest. Every day you choose to play small is a vote for that future. But I have not yet told you the worst of it. The first inevitability that happens when you turn 80 is this. Your body finalizes what your spirit chose. If you spent your life believing you were not enough, your body at 80 will be a monument to that belief. Not because of age itself, age is neutral, but because form follows consciousness. I have seen 80-year-old women who move like dancers, whose eyes flash with mischief and intelligence, who attract attention everywhere they go. And I have seen 50-year-old women who already look like they are rehearsing for death. The difference is not genetics. The difference is not luck. The difference is choice, repeated daily, hourly, minute by minute. The choice to either collapse into the identity of a woman whose best days are behind her, or to claim the identity of a woman who is just beginning to understand her power. Your ex-husband, by the way, is watching. Even if you never speak to him again, energetically he feels the shifts you make. Men are far more intuitive than they are taught to acknowledge. They sense when a woman stops needing them and starts simply enjoying them, or not, as she chooses. This shift in frequency is intoxicating to a mature man because it indicates a woman who has found her center. And centered women are magnetic in ways that desperate women can never be. Desperation repels. Sufficiency attracts. This is a law as reliable as gravity. The second inevitability that occurs by 80 is that all your relationships crystallize into their essential truth. The people who truly love you become undeniable, and the people who are using you fall away or are revealed in their emptiness. By 80, there is no more time for pretending. You either have genuine intimacy or you have hollow performances. The tragedy is that most women arrive at 80 having spent decades maintaining relationships that were already dead, afraid to acknowledge the truth because the truth felt like failure. But here is what I need you to understand. Staying in a dead relationship is not loyalty. It is cowardice. It is a refusal to honor the sacred gift of your life. Every moment you spend in false connection is a moment stolen from the possibility of real connection. And by 80, you will feel the weight of all those stolen moments as a grief beyond words. I want you to imagine something right now. Close your eyes if you are able. Imagine yourself at 80. What do you see? Is she vibrant, surrounded by people who genuinely delight in her presence? Is she still creating, learning, growing? Or is she sitting alone, watching television, waiting for the phone to ring, existing in that peculiar purgatory of still being alive, but no longer living? This vision is not predetermined. It is a choice you are making right now with how you spend this day, this hour. The Kabbalah teaches that every moment is a gateway. Every present moment contains infinite possible futures, and the one you step into depends on the quality of consciousness you bring to now. Most people sleepwalk through their lives, repeating patterns inherited from parents who inherited them from their parents. No one ever stopped to question whether these patterns serve. No one ever asked, "Is this who I truly am?" Or is this who I was told to be? The unexamined life does not lead to 80 years of peace. It leads to 80 years of quiet desperation. The third inevitability is perhaps the most painful. By 80, you will have absolute clarity about every opportunity you failed to take. Every moment you said no to yourself because you were afraid of what others would think. Every time you dimmed your light to avoid threatening someone else's fragile ego. The universe will present you with a complete accounting, and you will feel, with devastating precision, exactly what you traded for safety. Most people trade everything for safety. They trade passion, adventure, truth, authenticity, wild joy. All of it sacrificed on the altar of not rocking the boat. And by 80, they realized that the boat was sinking anyway. All that caution bought them nothing but regret. Your husband, or ex-husband, made this trade too, by the way. Men are just as trapped in these patterns as women, just in different ways. But that is not your concern. Your concern is your own liberation. Because here is the secret that no one tells you. You cannot save anyone else. You cannot love someone into wholeness. You cannot sacrifice yourself enough to make another person choose growth. The only person you can transform is yourself. And when you transform yourself, you change what is possible in every relationship you touch. This is why the work must begin with you, not with trying to fix him or win him back or prove your worth. Your worth is not up for debate. You are a fractal of the infinite divine. The question is not whether you are worthy. The question is whether you will finally claim what has always belonged to you. I need you to feel the urgency of this moment, not to panic, but to wake up. Because time moves in one direction, and the path you are on right now leads somewhere specific. If you do not change direction, you will arrive at that destination. And that destination, for most women, is a version of 80 that feels like punishment. But it does not have to be this way. The fourth inevitability is that by 80, your body has spoken its truth. All the emotions you suppressed, all the words you swallowed, all the rage you turned inward. By 80, this has manifested as your physical reality. The body keeps the score, as they say. Every unfelt feeling, every unexpressed truth becomes density, illness, pain, limitation. I have worked with women dying of cancer who finally, in their last months, found the courage to speak their truth, to stop pretending, to express the anger and hurt they had carried silently for decades. And they always say the same thing. Why did I wait so long? Why did I think being nice was more important than being real? Being nice is not a virtue when it requires self-betrayal. Being nice is often cowardice dressed in socially acceptable clothing. Real love, real intimacy, requires the courage to be honest, even when honesty is uncomfortable. Especially when honesty is uncomfortable. Do you want to know what men actually find irresistible? Not perfection, not niceness, not the performance of endless accommodation. What mature men find irresistible is a woman who knows herself so completely that she cannot be manipulated by his moods, his withdrawals, his tests. A woman who loves him but does not need him. A woman who would be fine without him, but chooses to include him because he adds value to an already rich life. This is not game playing. This is not strategy. This is the natural result of doing deep inner work until you find your unshakable center. And when a woman finds this center, everything changes. The way she walks, the way she speaks, the way she takes up space in a room. She stops apologizing for existing. She stops seeking validation. She becomes dangerous in the most delicious way. Dangerous to all the systems that require women to be small, controllable, afraid. The fifth inevitability is that by 80, you will know whether you lived your truth or someone else's script. And this knowing will either fill you with satisfaction or drown you in regret. There is no middle ground at 80. The clarity becomes absolute. I want to return to something important now, because I feel some of you pulling away, thinking this message is not for you. You believe you are too far gone, too old, too damaged, too past your prime. This thought is a demon, not a metaphor, an actual spiritual entity that feeds on human potential and transforms it into resignation. In the Kabbalah, we understand that there are forces that benefit from keeping you small. These are not abstractions. These are real frequencies that move through consciousness, whispering lies that sound like truth. You are too old. It is too late. You should just be grateful for what you have. Who do you think you are to want more? These voices are not your intuition. They are the voice of everything that fears your power. And your power, when fully claimed, is world-changing. Not in some grandiose, abstract way. In the immediate, tangible way of a woman who walks into a room and changes the frequency of everyone present simply by being fully herself. But to get there requires something most people will not do. It requires descending into your own underworld and facing every ugly thing you have been running from. Every wound, every shame, every moment of betrayal, especially the moments you betrayed yourself. This descent is not optional if you want transformation. You cannot heal what you will not feel. So many women at your age are numbing. Wine, television, shopping, busyness, social media. Anything to avoid the screaming silence that occurs when you finally stop running. But that silence is not your enemy. That silence is the doorway. Everything you have been seeking is on the other side of your willingness to sit in that uncomfortable silence and listen to what your soul has been trying to tell you for decades. The sixth inevitability that happens by 80 is that you will either have cultivated a relationship with the divine, or you will face death alone in a secular, materialist worldview that offers no comfort, no continuity, no meaning beyond biological processes ending. This is a bleak place to find yourself. Not because atheism is wrong, I am not here to debate theology, but because a life lived without connection to something transcendent is a life that struggles to find meaning in suffering. And suffering is inevitable. The question is whether your suffering transforms you or merely diminishes you. The Kabbalah offers a map of reality that includes suffering as a necessary ingredient in spiritual evolution. Not because God is cruel, but because consciousness expands through resistance. A diamond forms under pressure. A soul forms through challenge. Everything difficult you have experienced was not punishment. It was curriculum. You were being prepared for a level of being that requires the strength you built in those fires. But if you never do this alchemical work, if you never transform your wounds into wisdom, then by 80, you are just a collection of scars instead of a warrior who earned her authority through battle. There is a profound difference between these two states, and other people feel it immediately. Men, especially, can sense whether a woman has done her work. It emanates from her. She does not need to explain her journey. Her presence announces it. And for a man who has also done his work, this is nectar. This is what he has been hungering for his entire life, even if he did not have words for it. Your ex-husband, if he is on his own journey of growth, is becoming capable of recognizing this kind of woman. If you do not become her, someone else will. And you will watch him experience a depth of love and passion that you once dreamed of, but never claimed. Not because you were not capable, but because you were too afraid to become who you needed to become. And here is the truly painful part. You will know it was possible. You will see her living the life that could have been yours. This is not my attempt to manipulate you. This is the simple truth of how energy works. We attract the quality of love that matches our internal state. If you want different love, you must become different. The seventh inevitability is that by 80, your legacy is essentially complete. The mark you made on the world, the lives you touched, the love you gave and received. By 80, this is largely finalized. Yes, you can still have beautiful moments, but the arc of your life is clear. And the question that will haunt you, if you have not lived authentically, is, did anyone actually know me? Did I ever show the world my real face? Most people die having never shown their real face. They performed a role their entire lives: dutiful daughter, good wife, patient mother, agreeable friend, and their true self remained hidden, even from themselves. This is a tragedy beyond measure. To be born with infinite potential and die having accessed almost none of it. But again, I return to the possibility available to you right now. You are not 80 yet. You have time, not unlimited time. None of us have that. But enough time to completely transform your trajectory if you begin today. Not tomorrow. Not after you finish this video. Now. The eighth and final inevitability is the one that encompasses all the others. By 80, you will know with absolute certainty whether you loved and were loved authentically, or whether you spent your entire life in transactions disguised as intimacy. You will know whether the people at your bedside, if there are people at your bedside, are there out of genuine love or obligation. You will feel the difference in your bones. And if it is obligation rather than love, the loneliness of that moment is more complete than death itself. I have sat with dying women who were surrounded by family and felt utterly alone. And I have sat with dying women who had only one or two people present. And the room was saturated with love, so thick you could feel it like a physical presence. The difference was not the number of people. The difference was the quality of connection cultivated over a lifetime. Authentic connection requires vulnerability. It requires showing people your actual self, not the edited version you think they can handle. Most people never do this because vulnerability feels dangerous. And sometimes it is dangerous. You might be rejected, misunderstood, judged. But the alternative is to never be truly known. And that is a different kind of death that occurs while you are still breathing. So now I must give you the practical tools I promised. Not because they will save you. Nothing can save you but your own decision to transform, but because they will show you where to begin. The first practice is radical self-honesty. Every day, sit with yourself for at least 20 minutes in silence. No phone, no distractions, nothing to numb yourself. And ask, what am I pretending not to know? This question will unearth everything you have been avoiding. The truth about your marriage, the truth about your desires, the truth about who you have become versus who you intended to be. Write down what emerges. Do not censor. No one needs to see this but you. The second practice is speaking your truth in small ways every single day. Start with low-stakes situations. If someone asks your opinion, give it honestly instead of saying what you think they want to hear. If you do not want to attend some obligation, decline instead of forcing yourself. These small acts of self-honoring accumulate. They build the muscle of authenticity. By the time you need to speak a hard truth in an important relationship, you will have practiced enough that it flows naturally instead of getting stuck in your throat. The third practice is reclaiming your body as sacred territory. Most women your age have spent decades at war with their bodies, judging them against impossible standards, punishing them for not being younger, thinner, smoother, more compliant. This war is exhausting, and your body is tired of fighting you. Make peace. Touch yourself with kindness. Move your body in ways that feel good rather than punitive. Feed yourself foods that nourish rather than restrict. Pleasure is not optional. It is the language of the divine feminine. A woman who has no pleasure in her life cannot be magnetic because magnetism is a pleasure frequency. The fourth practice is creating non-negotiable space for your own becoming. Every week, protect time that is yours alone. Not for productivity, not for others, but for whatever feeds your soul. Reading, creating, walking in nature, sitting in silence. Whatever allows you to hear the whisper beneath the noise. This time is sacred. It is the womb space where your new self gestates. Without it, you will remain stuck in who you have always been. The fifth practice is surrounding yourself with people who are also committed to growth. Your current social circle might not survive your transformation. Most people bond over complaining, gossiping, staying stuck. If you begin to change, they will feel threatened. Let them feel threatened. Your transformation is not negotiable. Find new people if necessary. Women who are also on this journey, who understand that the second half of life is not about decline, but about coming into your power in ways that were not possible when you were younger. The sixth practice is developing a daily relationship with the divine, however you understand it. Prayer, meditation, conversation, it does not matter what you call it. What matters is that you cultivate awareness that you are not alone, that you are held by something vast and benevolent, that your life has meaning beyond what you can see with physical eyes. This connection is the foundation of everything else. Without it, you are building on sand. The seventh practice is learning to metabolize your pain instead of storing it. Every time something hurts, a memory, a loss, a disappointment, feel it fully instead of pushing it away. Cry, rage, express. Pain that moves through you transforms you. Pain that gets stuck inside you becomes disease, depression, density. You have decades of unmetabolized pain in your system. It is time to let it move. The eighth practice, and perhaps the most important, is practicing fierce self-compassion. Not the soft, permissive kind that lets you off the hook. The fierce kind that refuses to let you betray yourself anymore. The kind that says, I love you too much to watch you play small. I love you too much to let you settle for crumbs when you deserve the feast. I love you too much to pretend this is fine when it is killing you slowly. This fierce self-compassion is the voice you need to cultivate. It is the voice that will carry you through the discomfort of transformation when every other voice is telling you to give up, go back, settle for what you know. Do you feel the shift happening already? Just from considering these practices? This is how powerful you are. Consciousness shifts the moment you genuinely consider a new possibility. You do not have to have mastered anything yet. You just have to be willing. And here is what I know with certainty. If you implement these practices consistently for 6 months, your life will be unrecognizable. Not because the external circumstances will necessarily change, though they often do, but because you will have changed so fundamentally that your entire experience of reality transforms. You will walk through the same world, but see it with different eyes. And those different eyes will notice opportunities, connections, possibilities that were always there but invisible to who you used to be. Men will notice this change. Not all men. The ones who need you small will disappear, and good riddance. But quality men, men of substance and depth, will suddenly appear in your life as if summoned, because you will be broadcasting a completely different frequency. Instead of broadcasting, "Please love me, I am not enough on my own," you will be broadcasting, "I am complete, I am powerful, I am a gift to whoever is evolved enough to recognize what stands before him." This second frequency is irresistible, but you cannot fake it. Men can smell inauthenticity from a mile away. You must actually do the work of becoming this woman. There are no shortcuts, but the work itself is the point. The work is where you find yourself. The destination is almost irrelevant compared to who you become in the journey. Now I want to address the fear I feel rising in some of you. The fear that says, "But what if I do all this work and I still end up alone? What if I transform myself and no one notices or cares?" This fear is understandable, but it misses the point entirely. You are not doing this work to get someone else. You are doing this work because you deserve to know yourself before you die. You are doing this work because living inauthentically is a betrayal of the divine gift of your life. Whether anyone else notices or appreciates your transformation is irrelevant. You will know, and that knowing will change everything. Besides, the universe responds to authenticity with uncanny precision. When you become genuinely yourself, life reorganizes around you. Not always immediately, not always in the ways you expected, but it happens. People, opportunities, circumstances that match your new frequency begin to appear. This is not magic. This is physics. Energy seeks its corresponding vibration. But you must be patient. Transformation does not happen overnight. You are undoing decades of programming, healing wounds that go back generations, reclaiming parts of yourself that were exiled so long ago you forgot they existed. This work takes time. But every day you commit to it, you are one day closer to the woman you came here to be. And that woman, when she finally emerges, is worth everything you will sacrifice to become her. She is the one who has always been waiting inside you, patient, knowing that eventually you would remember. She is the one who never doubted your capacity to rise. She is the one who holds the map to the rest of your life. The question is, will you follow that map, or will you stay in familiar territory because unfamiliar territory feels too risky? Will you bet on yourself, or will you play it safe and arrive at 80 with a lifetime of unlived life still inside you? I cannot make this choice for you. No one can. But I can tell you what I have observed across lifetimes. The women who choose transformation, who choose to become fully themselves regardless of cost, those women do not die with regret. They die satisfied, complete, having given everything they came to give. Their last breath is peaceful because they withheld nothing. The women who choose safety, who choose familiarity over growth, who wait for perfect conditions that never arrive, those women die with their song still inside them. And the grief of that unlived life is the heaviest weight a soul can carry into whatever comes next. You are standing at a threshold. Behind you is everything you have known, the patterns, the stories, the identity you have carried. Ahead of you is terra incognita, unmapped territory where anything becomes possible. You cannot bring your old self into this new land. She is not equipped for it. You must leave her behind, honor her for how far she carried you, and then step forward alone, willing to discover who you are when you are not performing for anyone. This is the hero's journey, the path every person must walk if they want to become fully human. Most people refuse the call. They hear it. Everyone hears it. But they pretend they do not. Or they convince themselves it is for other people, special people, brave people. But it is not for special people. It is for people who decide to answer. That is the only difference. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to act despite fear. And I promise you this, the moment you take the first genuine step toward your transformation, support will appear. Not always in the form you expect, but it will come. Teachers, books, opportunities, chance encounters that are not chance at all. The universe conspires to support those who support themselves. But you must move first. Faith without action is not faith. It is wishful thinking. So here is what I ask of you. When this video ends, do not simply return to your regular programming. Do not let this be another moment of inspiration that fades by tomorrow. Choose one practice I described and begin it today, not tomorrow. Today, this moment. Because this moment is the only moment that exists. Tomorrow is a fantasy, a story you tell yourself to avoid the discomfort of acting now. If you are serious about transforming your life, if you genuinely want to arrive at 80 as a woman who lived fully, loved deeply, expressed authentically, then you must begin treating your life as the sacred gift it is. Every day is a ceremony. Every choice is a prayer. You are either praying for transformation or praying for stagnation. There is no neutral. Inaction is a choice that creates consequences just as much as action does. And let me be clear about something else. This work will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you some relationships. It will cost you the identity you have been hiding behind. But what you gain is immeasurable. You gain yourself. You gain authenticity. You gain the capacity to love and be loved without masks. You gain the ability to look at yourself in the mirror and recognize the woman looking back. Most people never know themselves. They spend their entire lives performing for an audience that does not even exist. They die strangers to their own hearts. This is the greatest tragedy I know. Greater than illness, greater than loss, greater than death itself. To live an entire life and never meet yourself, this is hell masquerading as normalcy. You have an opportunity right now to choose differently. To stop performing and start being. To stop seeking approval and start seeking truth. To stop making yourself small and start claiming the magnitude that is your birthright. You are not a small being having a small experience. You are infinity compressed into a temporary form, here to express one unique flavor of the divine that has never existed before and will never exist again. When you die, that flavor disappears from creation forever. If you never expressed it, if you spent your whole life pretending to be someone else, then the universe loses something irreplaceable. This is not pressure. This is context. Your authenticity matters. Your full expression matters. Not because of what you will get from it, but because of what you will give. The world needs what you came here to offer, but you cannot offer it while wearing a mask. So take off the mask. Stop pretending you are fine when you are not fine. Stop pretending you are not hurt when you are devastated. Stop pretending you do not want more when you are starving for more. Stop pretending you are not powerful when power runs through your veins like electricity. Stop pretending you are not divine when divinity is the substance you are made of. Pretending takes enormous energy. Energy that could be used for creating, loving, expressing, becoming. When you stop pretending, you suddenly have access to reserves of energy you forgot existed. This energy is what fuels transformation. This energy is what makes miracles normal. And yes, miracles can become normal when you align with who you truly are. Synchronicities multiply, doors open, people appear, opportunities manifest. Not because you are manipulating reality, but because you are finally cooperating with it instead of fighting it. Most people spend their lives rowing upstream, exhausting themselves fighting currents. Transformation is about finding the current that flows in the direction of your truth and surrendering to it. This surrender is not defeat, it is wisdom. It is recognizing that you are not in charge of the universe, that there are forces far larger than your conscious mind, and that learning to cooperate with those forces is the definition of intelligence. The Kabbalah calls this alignment with divine will, not because God wants you to suffer or struggle, but because there is a river of grace flowing through existence, and when you find it and allow it to carry you, everything becomes easier, more fluid, more aligned. But you cannot find this river while living someone else's life. You must be living your own life, your true life, for the river to reveal itself. It does not flow through pretense. It only flows through authenticity. So come back to the practices. Come back to the daily commitments. Come back to the small, consistent choices that accumulate into transformation. This is not one big decision. It is 1,000 small decisions made again and again until they become who you are. And when you slip, because you will slip, everyone does, do not waste time on shame or self-punishment. Simply notice, course correct, and continue. Shame is the enemy of growth. Compassionate accountability is the friend of growth. Learn the difference. One keeps you stuck, the other keeps you moving. As you move through these next weeks and months, pay attention to who celebrates your growth and who tries to sabotage it. This will tell you everything you need to know about which relationships are real and which were based on you staying small. Some people loved who you were because who you were made them comfortable. When you change, they will feel threatened. This is not your problem to fix. Let them feel threatened. Your becoming is not negotiable. There may be moments when the loneliness of transformation feels unbearable. When you have outgrown your old life, but have not yet fully grown into your new one. You exist in this liminal space that can feel like exile. This is the dark night of the soul, and it is part of every genuine transformation. Do not try to skip it or numb it. Feel it. Let it teach you. On the other side of this darkness is a light you cannot imagine from where you currently stand. And remember, you are never actually alone. Even when human support is absent, you are held by something vast and loving that has been guiding you your entire life, even when you did not know it. Especially when you did not know it. The divine has been conspiring for your awakening since before you were born. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every moment of confusion, all of it curriculum designed to bring you to this moment of choice. You are exactly where you need to be. Not where you want to be, perhaps, but where you need to be to become who you came here to become. Trust the process even when it makes no sense, especially when it makes no sense. The rational mind cannot comprehend transformation. Transformation is the domain of the soul. Your soul knows the way. It has always known. Your only job is to quiet the noise enough to hear its whisper, and then to have the courage to follow where it leads, even when it leads into unfamiliar territory, even when everyone else thinks you are crazy, even when you think you are crazy. The path to your true life will feel crazy from the perspective of your conditioned self. Your conditioned self wants safety, familiarity, approval. Your true self wants expression, authenticity, aliveness. These are incompatible agendas. You cannot serve both. Eventually, you must choose. Choose yourself. Choose truth. Choose transformation. Choose to become the woman you glimpse in your most honest moments. The one who terrifies you a little because you know if you let her out, everything will change. Let her out anyway. She is not meant to stay hidden. She is your liberation. And when you arrive at 80, having lived this way, having chosen truth over comfort again and again, you will look back at your life with satisfaction. You will see the trajectory of your becoming. You will recognize how every hard moment was necessary, how every loss cleared space for something more aligned, how every ending was actually a beginning in disguise. You will understand, finally, that your life was not a series of random events, but a carefully orchestrated journey designed to bring you home to yourself. And home, you will discover, was inside you the entire time. You were just too busy looking outside yourself to notice. This is my teaching for you today. Not theory, not philosophy. Practical instruction for how to live the rest of your life in a way that honors the magnitude of who you are. You came here for this. Everything else, the marriage, the children, the career, the roles, all of it was preparation for this moment when you finally remember that you are not here to be small. You are here to be vast. Be vast. Be true. Be unapologetic. Be the woman who intimidates people by simply being fully herself. Be the woman who other women watch and wonder how she became so free. Be the woman who men recognize as rare, valuable, irreplaceable. Not because you were trying to impress anyone, but because you stopped trying to impress anyone, and that liberation made you magnetic. This is available to you, right now, today, in this moment. You do not need permission. You do not need to wait for perfect conditions. You do not need to be more ready. You need to decide. And then you need to begin. One small step, then another, then another. Until one day you wake up and realize you have become someone you do not even recognize. Someone better than you imagined possible. That woman is your destiny if you choose it. Or you can choose safety, comfort, familiar suffering. Both paths lead to 80, but they lead to very different versions of 80. One filled with satisfaction, the other filled with regret. The choice, as always, is yours. Choose wisely. Choose bravely. Choose today.